right, yeah, and so another thing he said he wants to talk about, or and basically work on, is
Joe Biden. Yeah, I know. I'm just reiterating Joe Biden.
Former Vice President Joe Biden expanded access to contraception and protect the constitutional right to an abortion.
So let's stop there.
That's pretty big.
This is controversial
Mm-hmm.
because you have people on both sides. You have your pro-life people and you have your pro-choice people.
Yeah.
Now, I personally would not get an abortion. I can see why other women might want to.
And the reason varies, obviously.
And there's various reasons.
Right.
It's not always just because, I'm lazy and I don't want to have a baby.
Right.
There's multiple reasons. It's more complicated and nuanced than just, I don't want to take the responsibility of having a baby.
Right.
So for my pro-lifers, once the baby is here, are you still going to fight as hard for that baby's life as you would before they get here, or are you just pro-birth? Because in a lot of instances, if that baby turns out to be a different race, or if that baby
has some type
of disability, and they need medical support, you don't want your taxpayer dollars going towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if for some reason that family might be in poverty, you don't want your tax dollars going to help feed said child.
Mm-hmm.
That child grows up and realizes that they might be in the LGBT community. You then do not want that baby who has grown from a baby from a child to a teenager to an adult. You don't want that person that was born that you fought for to have any kind of rights.
Mm-hmm.
So are you pro-life?
Legit question.
Or are you pro-birth?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a difference. Now, and then contraception, if you don't agree with abortion, the contraception prevents you from having unwanted babies without having to get an abortion.
Right.
So, I understand there are religious reasons for that, but if you're religious and a person that is doing these things is not religious, then your job is not to prevent them from getting their rights. Your job is to bring them to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That is your job
mm-hmm.
as a Christian, is to not legislate morality, but provide it.
Because last time I checked, we weren't qualified to legislate anything, but we are responsible and held accountable to hold ourselves accountable, to others accountable as well. That's a whole nother conversation. And this right here, what I'm about to read, is also kind of like a backup for what you were saying. Joe Biden wants to reverse the Trump administration and the state's all-out assault on women's right to choose. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. A woman has a right to choose what she wants to do or not do with her body.
And the choice is not always abortion. That's
right.
not always the choice.
Right.
Right. Sometimes they choose not to.
Right.
I chose not to.
Right.
But I was glad that I had that choice and had that option, because it's a hard decision to make.
Right.
But I chose not to because I could not. Morally, I could not. Now some women don't have that, morality issue. Not saying that they're not moral, but some people don't have that morality issue within themselves. It's a person by person case. That's the thing. It's like you shouldn't. And then the people who help create that baby, a lot of times they disappear. And I'm talking about the men here.
Yeah, they're not
confident. And their rights, men's rights, as far as all of this goes, sometimes they are violated, because there are some men who genuinely want to be in their baby's life, and they want the woman to keep the baby. In that case, when the baby is born, the baby should go to that parent, and that parent should take care of the baby.
Right. I mean, that's an
Because
option.
I mean, I've read a story where this woman got pregnant. She didn't want to have a baby. She wanted to have an abortion. The man was like, "No, I want my child. You're not going to abort my child. You're have the baby and give it to me." She has the baby. She gives it to him. She pays him child support, and she's like, "Don't bring the baby over here." And now the man is complaining because he has full responsibility of the child. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't help. But she pays child support. In fact, she pays extra money to not to have to deal with the child at all. And they were like, well, they were like, well, why are you complaining? Well, I thought her maternal instincts would kick in and I wouldn't have to watch the baby all by myself.
Okay.
So now he's a single dad by choice.
Alright, so he's a dumb bleep. And people like that, you shouldn't even mention him because he doesn't deserve any attention. But I understand why you mentioned it because that's retarded. He's an idiot. Anyway, yes, I said.
I mean, then if you don't believe in an abortion, then step up and do the right thing for your child.
Right. I agree. And on the flip side of things, I want to also talk about adoption as well. Putting your kid up for adoption. That's not easy either.
That's not easy. And then the adoption, the whole adoption process and things, and I mean, it's not perfect. It's bad. Like, there are a lot of kids that are in foster care, and sometimes they never get a family, and sometimes they do. I know another lady, she actually used to be a teacher at the daycare that my son did end up going to, and she fostered a whole bunch of kids, and she's even adopted some, and she's a great person. The kids are happy and healthy and they're loved and everything, but that's not everybody's situation.
Right.
You go back and look at the lesbian couple. Not that this is anything on lesbians or gay people adopting babies, because there are a lot of those families where the children are happy and healthy and grow up to live, normal and accomplished lives. But this lesbian couple did adopt a bunch of black kids, and all of those kids, except for maybe 2, ended up dying. So it's not like the adoption system and the foster care system is perfect.
No,
a perfect situation to put a baby in.
It's a very imperfect situation. You also have to put into account that this child wants to know who their parent is.
They will eventually want to know.
You have to put that into consideration, that the child is going to be curious, especially if they know. If they don't know, that's different. But if they know that their parent is out there and alive, they're going to want to know who created them and have all types of questions. I'm pretty sure of that.
I mean, you always want that connection to who you are. I
exactly.
mean, a lot of us are still searching for that connection
right.
through Ancestry. That's why Ancestry.com is so popular.
Right. Wanting to know where we come, especially through the black community, because we were brought from a whole other country. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about something else. Restore. Another thing he wants to try to do is restore federal funding for Planned Parenthood, just as the Obama and Biden administration did.
Okay, so let's talk about Planned Parenthood for a minute. They do not just do abortions.
Yeah, they do.
And
they do. What is it? They do annual checkups. They do testings of all type. You can get blood work done and all that jazz there. So it's just
an affordable place to go
if
you need any kind of health care. Not just abortions. And matter of fact, the number of abortions they actually do is very minuscule.
Right.
Tiny.
Right.
And okay, let's talk about late-term abortions real quick. The only reason you would have a late-term abortion is if the mother's health is at risk, or if the child has already died. No woman is carrying a baby almost all the way to term and is like, oh, I don't want the baby to kill it. No, that doesn't happen. It's false information.
And y'all need to stop.
Stop spreading it. I almost cussed. Sorry. Stop it.
Y'all need to quit with the foolishness, because you know daggone well that there's ethics. There's medical ethics. There's ethics that has to be abided by, and that is that no doctor is going to just go, oh, okay, you don't want to have a baby, kill, and then that's no.
There's always some medical circumstance where unfortunately that has to happen. Right. But nobody is aborting a baby at 8 months.
I'm trying to tell you. What is it? Do no harm is part of the Hippocratic Oath? Do no harm? I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't know the whole thing, but I know that's part of it. So let's try again. And all you folks that just talking, and quit giving these folks a platform to talk. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Please stop. Okay, stop. Moving forward. President Biden wants to rescind the Mexico City policy, also referred to as the global gag rule that President Trump reinstated and expanded. Wow.
So, like the Mexico City policy, and I had to read up on this because I didn't know anything about it. This is something that started with Reagan.
Right.
So basically, it takes money away from UNICEF and like international organizations that provide health care, and sometimes that includes abortions to people in other countries, mostly third world countries. Now, we don't know what situations those women are in, but I can tell you, as bad as rape and molestation and incest is here in our country, because it is bad, let's not ignore it. Let's call it out. There are women who, a lot of times, the way that they get pregnant is through rape. And sometimes it's a family member, sometimes it's somebody they don't know, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it is their husbands or spouses that are abusive. So in a lot of cases, that is why the need for organizations like there is Planned Parenthood International go into those countries and provide services for those women who otherwise would have no choices at all.
And it also preventing women that wants to leave the country and get certain things done, so they don't want to get it tracked here. That's preventing them from doing that as well.
I think that was the main reason that was put into place, because I guess at the time when Reagan was in, a lot of women were leaving the country to go and get these
procedures done.
Yep. And then this is like it's the same, like a lot of late term abortions, going back to that, happen because there are extreme birth defects. If you've ever watched the Learning Channel before they became like reality TV crazy, they would have these shows where like babies would come out, and like there was one child I remember that was like fully grown, like a child, but had like baby legs sticking out from their stomach and had to get them removed. And it's like things like that. And then like, you know, Siamese is like...
Oh, Siamese twins, yes.
Yeah, that's not the term, though, because that's, like, really racist. But conjoined is the correct term.
Okay.
The politically correct term. Conjoined twins. So, in some instances, if they're conjoined, one baby might be fully functioning, and you could do a surgery to have them separated safely. But in some cases, it's not safe. Or sometimes, like, I have seen shows where one child is fully alive and fully functioning and the other child is dead.
Yeah. So
it's like providing those services to third world countries, and Trump defunded, is it UNICEF or who? Yeah, or both.
He defunded who? I know.
Both.
I don't know about UNICEF, but I know he defunded who.
That were funding these organizations that help these women in third world countries.
Right.
Feel how you want to about that, but to me that feels wrong.
Yeah. Moving forward, he wants to reduce unacceptably high maternal mortality rate, which impacts people of color. Hold on. He also wants to defend health care protections for all, regardless of gender identity, or sexual orientation. I wanted to put that all together because we're talking about a civil stance here. We're talking about the civil rights of individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of their gender, regardless of their race or whatnot. And in regards to the maternal mortality rate, there is, like you said, it's really high among the black, well, not only just black, but just people of color, period.
I mean, we could do a whole show about, the disparities between specifically black women and other women.
Yeah.
I know of at least 2 black women this year who died in childbirth.
Oh, man.
Both of them were like popular Instagram personalities. Carried their baby to term. Both of them died. I know of another. If y'all follow Deval Ellis and his wife Kadeen Ellis, she almost died with her firstborn child, and had Deval and her mother not come into the room and saw that something was very, very wrong, she might have died. She tells that story.
Situation too.
Serena, yeah, and both of them have told their stories. So that is a very important issue that I'm glad that he's speaking up about and tackling. I would just hope that he truly means what he says and he's going to follow through with that.
And just to piggyback on that, I think the fact that he has Senator Harris there, I think she's going to be a force. If they win, she's going to be a force, especially when it comes to women's rights, that she's going to kind of be pushing really hard to get pushed through and really have things restructured in regards to women's rights.
I also hope that she's genuine as well. I know she's a biracial woman. You know, she's black and Indian. Her father is Jamaican and her mother is Indian. So yeah, I would hope that she will stand in the gap for women of color. But you know, time will tell.
Oh, time will tell.
Education.
It's education. All right. So President Trump, he once again that platinum plan. Anyway, so he wants to provide school choice to every child in America.
Let's pull over right here.
Yep.
Let's pull over here.
Yeah.
School choice. So school choice is this concept that instead of going to the school that you're district for, they take away the districting, and then you can decide which school you would like to go to anywhere in the state, regardless of what part of that state you live in, which means on paper, someone who lives in a district that has a poor school system or a failing school system could then leave that school system and go to a better one without any penalties. Because as we know, there have been people who have gone to jail. A black woman in Georgia went to jail for district hopping and putting her child in a better school system.
And went to jail for it. And we got what's the Four House lady over there freaking going to jail for 2 days, and this young lady has been in prison for several years. I
think she got 5 years.
That's crazy.
So on paper, this sounds good. It's like, oh, if I want my kid to go to, and just naming some schools in the area, if I want my kid to go to Altamont instead of Pelham, which is Pelham City Schools, which is considered a good school system, I could make that choice. The problem comes in is then schools could decide what type of students they want coming to their school. So does that really solve the problem? And then even if you request to come to that school could then implement tuition. Or
so do you even really
in
have a
other
choice?
Cases, testing. Because that's how the magnet schools were a good idea, but you had to test into those magnet schools. Now, for kids that don't test well, that doesn't help them. They could be brilliant, but poor testers. So this school choice plan is not a good one. I know this is something Betty DeVos, who is the Secretary of Education, has pushed. But I feel like this is like another way to segregate or resegregate the school systems.
The fact of the matter is, even though just as you guys are listening, it's interesting how you're presenting an option, but then you're creating a loophole that can disrupt that option based off who enters into the option. And once again, it's some BS that it sounds like they're cooking up, and it sounds good on paper, but it just seems like a trashy deal for those that it can really impact. Because here's the thing, it has been proven regularly that a child that does not test well, if they don't test well, it does not define their success in or out of college. Like, there are plenty of people that have successfully graduated from college, high school,
high
college,
SAT scores,
right?
high ACT scores, failed out of college.
Fell out of college. People that did not have high ACT or high ACT scores and are PhD holders. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Hood was one of those individuals that did not do very well in school, but he turned around and found his footing in regards to in regards to his how to learn. Because you can learn, you can teach yourself or actually learn how to learn, and he got into a I guess a rhythm per se, and now he's Dr. Hood, Dr. Anthony C. Hood. And he's given his story of saying where he struggled in school and had a very low GPA. Denzel Washington is another person that talked about having a 1.6, 1.3 GPA.
And he's a brilliant actor.
Brilliant actor, and the list goes on with different people that have struggled. I've seen on Instagram, and I love that's one of the reasons why I'm actually okay with Instagram, because I like to read the stories. There's a gentleman that went to medical school. He had a 1.7 GPA, and he's Dr. such and such now. So, yeah, I mean, what's really frustrating is that there's not an even playing field at all. And that's what it should be. Every child, no matter what their color, race, or gender is, should be given an opportunity to learn. Period. There should not be a loophole. There should not be, oh, well, if you do this or if you do that. It should be a God-given right that a person is given, opportunity.
And that plan is going to create loopholes because,
they're already in place.
If we had districts in here that have already tried to pull their kids out of school and resegregate. Gardendale, you can go read the situation that happened in Gardendale, Alabama, where they tried to resegregate the schools because the test scores were low.
Right.
Instead of trying to help the kids get better test scores, they just wanted to pull kids out. The other part of that, in addition to provide a school choice for every child in America, he wants to make sure that American exceptionalism is taught in every school.
Okay. Okay, so he has his program that he wanted to is basically this here is the program that basically combats the 1619.
Well, it doesn't necessarily combat it.
Okay.
This is just something he wants taught. And we'll dip into the 1619 project in just a second. But this is something that he feels should be taught. Okay. So,
what exactly
just a brief rundown of American exceptionalism. It started out as a Marxist concept that America's democracy is structured differently than other government systems across the world.
And we're talking about
not that it's better or worse, it's just different. Which is what exceptional means. Okay. Different.
Right. No, go ahead.
And matter of fact, Joseph Stalin, I did some research on that. Joseph Stalin was the one who coined the term American exceptionalism. Okay. Yeah. That evolved.
Say that name one more time.
What?
Joseph what?
Joseph Stalin.
Okay, just want to make sure we're saying those names. Karl Marx, right? Marxism. Joseph Stalin.
Stalinism.
Stalinism. Okay, continue.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
So that evolved around about the time that Reagan came into office. It evolved to America being better than other countries around the world. That, our democracy was the best working democracy, and it was the one that, other countries should aspire to. That basically, biblically, which this is not a biblical concept at all, this is what it's evolved into, that America is the city sitting upon the hill, shining its light across the world for others to see and be inspired by. Now, JFK was the one who made the city on the hill comment, but he wasn't talking about American exceptionalism. He was talking about America should be the city on the hill. Reagan said, we are the city on the hill, despite all the scandals that had come before him, with Nixon and all of that. So,
my head's hurting. Go ahead.
So basically, Donald Trump wants it to be taught in schools that America is the best country in the world, that there are no problems here, that everything is perfect, and we are the city on the hill shining across the world to be held up as the example of how a country should be.
Well, the problem with that is we are...
You know who else sounds like that? No, we won't go there.
Go ahead.
You know who else sounds like that? North Korea.
So, I like. I mean,
I'm not trying to be funny, but like if you read about American exceptionalism, do your own research. Don't just go by what I'm saying. But if you research what I researched, you'll find the exact same thing. I read about it extensively. You know, when we were writing the script for this, I read about it extensively. To the point where I did get a headache, and I was like, I don't understand why this is even a thing, or why it needs to be taught in schools.
For a party to condemn another party for being socialists and being everything but American, they are adopting a lot of theologies and ideologies that are pretty...
I mean, let's be real, a little communist in nature.
Yeah, very.
Judging from where this concept came from.
Because Karl Marx is the father of communism. I mean, I'm just saying. So, yeah, I mean, this... Anyway, so...
And Stalin was touted as a leader as far as this concept goes.
Right. And last time I checked, wasn't he in the... He wasn't...
Soviet, I think.
He was Soviet? Was he part of the Axis?
No. I think that came... I think that came after.
After him?
Don't quote me. Because
he was in the Cold
War. Because I'm trying to think of the timeline, but I'm pretty sure he was after.
Yeah, he was Cold War. Yeah. But
But yeah, I don't...
There's a lot of contradictions. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and I mean, again, also, this is a conservative value. It is specifically conservative.
And it's just amazing.
I mean, honestly, America is not as bad as some places. I mean...
by far.
If y'all know anything about what is happening in Nigeria and Lagos,
that just hit. I mean, it's been going on for a while, but it just popped in the media. Yeah,
and the NSARS movement. You know, they're literally, the police are killing protesters with abandon. Now it's bad here because protesters are getting tear gassed and rubber bullets thrown at them and like. Oh, it's pretty bad here. It is like worse there because they're literally shooting people in the streets.
Right, and without reservations.
Without reservations or remorse.
Right.
Or false remorse.
Right. And that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah. I mean, America is definitely better than most places, but it's also not perfect. There's
it's
a
very
lot
dysfunctional in a lot of ways.
Dysfunction here.
But that's just around the world. The world is just a dysfunctional world altogether because of the different belief systems.
But to pretend like things are
okay and fine, and then we're just this big shiny beacon for everyone to follow, absolutely not. Or false.
False. It's false.
Absolutely.
So teaching that, I feel like I don't think that's important to teach. That's not gonna. That's like brainwashing because everybody should be able to have their own view of what America is.
It's taking steps back.
It's different for every person. It's different for people of different races. It's different for men than it is for women. So in short, WTF, Trump.
Yes, that's a whole lot of that. So moving on to Joe Biden. Okay, so what he wants to do with education, he wants to support our educators by giving them the pay and dignity they deserve. That's something that's
100% support this.
Right, that's like that's overdue.
Yeah.
overdue
Way
in regards
overdue.
to, because the teachers, a lot of teachers are like, I was just making a complaint, but it's a potential reason for them to be the way they are, because they are getting underpaid. They are underpaid and they're
Yeah, I mean,
undervalued.
not working that hard and having to teach those kids and do those lesson plans and everything that you're doing
Right.
as much as you are,
Yeah.
and then getting paid almost, almost the same as somebody that might work at McDonald's would make,
Yeah.
and having to do extra things and pick up extra jobs and everything
and
just
deal
to
with
make ends meet.
and dealing with somebody else's children. Like, every child there are not good children, and some kids are horrible.
Yeah.
And you're having to not only deal with that, but also keep yourself
And then
together.
sometimes you have the support of the parents, and a lot of times, and sometimes you don't have the support of the parents.
Right.
There are some kids that are horrible, and the parents don't think that they do nothing wrong.
Right.
And I'm not one of those parents. Whenever they call me, I was like, "What did you do? What did you do?"
Right. I mean, you have to. I mean, especially when it comes to, you get a kid a benefit of the doubt, but you also have to know that,
take into consideration that your kid might
be a problem. You know what I mean?
bad.
He also wants to invest in resources for our schools so students grow into physically and emotionally healthy adults, and
Whew.
educators can focus on teaching. That's
huge.
Yeah.
Again, I hope he follows through on this.
Yeah.
But imagine the difference if there was a healthcare professional in the school, so that certain students who need that type of support.
Don't some schools have that though?
Not all of them do. In fact, very few of
It's
them.
probably the private schools.
Probably the private
They
schools,
can
and
afford
sometimes not even them. Because I don't think they think that's important. But this is something that's very important. Just think of the number of school shootings that could have been prevented had a healthcare professional been in the school and saw the signs.
And you know what? Matter of fact, big ups to UAB. Because they take mental health very serious at UAB. So big ups to UAB, because they offer free mental health counseling. And I am really, we're going to do a show on mental health, and we're going to also talk about that program, but I'm not going to get too deep into that. But yeah, definitely big ups to that. I honestly think though it'll be a really a wise decision to take that whole concept they put into colleges and bring it down to the high school level
and the middle school level,
and the middle school level,
and the elementary school level.
Especially really all of them, because they're transitioning. These kids transitioning, and a lot of things going on physically and mentally that we don't. I mean, we were kids once, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of questions that we didn't know, that mom and dad didn't know have the answers to. The productive answer to, because if you grew up like us, just trust the Lord and pray about it, and that's fine. We can talk to the Lord, but sometimes we need a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like maybe my parents were like a little more nuanced in the fact that yes, you pray to God and God is your source, but they were also like, if you need something more than that, then let us know. So thanks to my parents for that. But still, it's not the same in every home. And then with virtual learning is revealing that a lot of these kids are really getting abused at home, and their only source of safety is school. I mean, if there's a mental health care professional in the school that can see the signs and spot them easier, because teachers are trained to see the signs, but teachers don't always catch things because they're busy teaching.
And also catching the signs mean let's try to find solutions.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of kids that are terrified to even speak on these things, and unfortunately, you have those kids that are just bad, that are creating situations that are false and are not helpful to those that are actually having issues. So that cry wolf, that happens. Yeah, and it's not helpful for those that are actually having issues. So it's something that needs to happen, because it needs to be addressed, and a professional that can see through these things. You know what I mean? I
mean, one story that I saw, there was this little girl, and she was 7 years old, and there was an older relative that was abusing her sexually.
Oh my gosh.
And the way they found out is that during one of the Zoom classes, he actually abused her.
Oh, with the oral thing. Yeah, I hope they burn. Yeah, let me not say that.
So they, and the teachers, like, no one would have ever known if it hadn't been for virtual learning, because everybody saw it, and the teacher had to make all the other students turn off the camera and call the police immediately and send the police to the house.
Right. And then the crazy thing about those Zoom is they're recorded.
And they're recorded, so that's evidence right there.
That's crazy. I'm interested in seeing.
My heart goes out to that poor little baby.
Yeah.
It really does, because you never know what these kids are going through, which is why this part of Biden's plan is like very interesting to me. So I hope that if he is elected, that he really, like, this piece, more so than some of the other pieces, really follows through with this.
Absolutely. Moving forward, he also says he wants to ensure that no child's future is determined by their zip code, parents' income, race, or disability. Also moving forward, he said he wants to provide every middle and high school student a path to a successful career. And also starting investing in our children at birth. All those things go hand in hand.
I mean, they do. Yeah.
All those things go hand in hand, and it's something that you said earlier that just should be a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
It should not take a politician to go, hey, let's figure this out. This should just already happen.
Yeah. I mean, if there are schools that are failing, find out why they're failing.
Yes.
Give them funding so they don't fail.
So they can provide these for tutors and extra help that's needed. You know what I mean? Provide funding for extracurricular programs. Don't take arts out of the school. Make sure that you find ways to keep arts in the school, because that's just as important as, learning your basic subjects. Those things are important. That's actually another thing that Joe Biden wants to do. He wants to keep arts and the creative arts inside.
They're very important. Coming from two artists, the arts are important.
It is. I mean, it's every person that I've ever met that has, regardless of what their major is, regardless of where they are in life and career, they've all taken a creative arts class, whether it be creative writing, whether it be an art class, whether it be digital media, whatever. Music. They all said great things about it, and it also allowed them to expand the way that they think.
Mm-hmm. Which is very important.
And that is very important. That is one of the things that happens with the arts. Just critical thinking is is an essential part of the creative arts, and it also can translate over to other things. And you don't
always get critical thinking from math or science, or
you get some doggone frustrating thinking with some math, because I know I'm taking a math right now and I can't. Jesus.
I'm never doing it again. But I'm going with my kid. I'm going through 6th grade math all over again. And I was like, I already did this. Why do I have to do this again? I'm done. I'm supposed to be done. But yeah, I think this is important. Like, really, instead of trying to give people a choice to go to a better school, try to improve the schools that are already existing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I agree. Because, I mean, you have all this funding going, and distribute the money evenly, man. Stop giving it to just one side of the freaking fence, man. Like, you got all these schools out here that needs it, especially in Birmingham. I was in Birmingham public schools, and I'm telling you, man, we know where the money going, and you're trifling. You're trifling.
That's also a whole nother show. Not that the private schools in Birmingham are any better. Alabama School of Fine Arts and Altamont, I found out.
Well, y'all get ready, because it's just coming for y'all. Because I heard some information that came out about y'all that ain't too gracious. Moving on. All right, so the next section that we're going to be talking about is the environment.
Shout out to AOC.
So we're going to talk about the stance that each candidate is talking about environment. President Trump says that he wants to continue to lead the world in access to the cleanest drinking water and cleanest air in the world. Who told him that lie? Did we forget about Flint?
Flint just got clean water. Just.
No, I mean, yeah, I know it's just not clean, but I'm just saying that it's
Speaking of Just, that's who helped them with their clean water. Shout out to Jaden Smith.
Right. Big up.
And his company, Just.
Right.
Because they helped Flint get clean water.
Why was that even an issue? That's the whole point. Why was that even an issue? And Flint is just one of
Not that this
many.
was like an issue under Trump, because this was an issue under Obama.
Correct.
To be fair.
Correct. Straight up.
Being fair.
Straight up.
Trying to be fair and balanced.
And it took someone from an outside source to actually start preventing solutions to this problem. So, yeah, fairness, like, this is for all y'all politicians, Republican, Democratic alike. Y'all need to step up your game when it comes to just stuff that's supposed to happen.
If we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world,
nobody
in this country should have problems with getting clean water. And if we want to talk about clean air, let's talk about how the restrictions and policies that were put in place during the Obama era that would have held a lot of these huge corporations that are committing environmental atrocities accountable were rolled back. Because we can talk about your carbon footprint and all of that, but so as an individual, you can do things to improve your carbon footprint. But even if every individual in our country did things to improve their carbon footprint and reduce emissions, those corporations, by large, are still the biggest issue when it comes to emissions.
Right. And what's interesting is, in regards to emissions, that we had the highest numbers of clean air or non-polluted air was when we had this lockdown.
Because everybody had to sit at home.
Right.
And these factories and all this other stuff, they couldn't open.
And not only that, it's like just human interaction ceasing is what allowed a lot of nature to just do its thing. And
it's good and bad. It's like the Thanos snap. So you remember when Captain America was was talking to Black Widow, and he was saying there's like a bunch of dolphins in the Hudson,
right?
But half of humanity was gone, and everybody was depressed.
Right.
So it's the same concept.
Dolphins
Who knew that the Avengers were gonna somewhat predict what was gonna happen this year?
Right. Weird. And that's crazy. We actually kind of had a snap, didn't we?
Yeah, kind of did. It wasn't half of humanity didn't disappear, but we had to sit down somewhere.
We were forced, yeah.
Yeah. We definitely had to sit down.
And some of y'all lost your mind. Anyway. He said President Trump said he wants to partner with other nations to clean up our planet's oceans.
Both of these things there are things and practices and organizations that are already working on this.
Right.
So again, what is your plan for access to the cleanest water and cleanest air?
Right.
Because the contradiction is that you want to support these companies, and even in your accomplishments. So he has a tab on his website, which you can go to and see for yourself of all of his accomplishments. And I read through some of them, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay. And a lot of his accomplishments has directly contradicted some of the stuff in his campaign promises.
Yeah.
And actually, some of his accomplishments contradict each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
listen, this is the guy that doesn't believe that global warming is happening right now. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. I'm sorry. He
pulled out the Paris Climate Agreement.
Yeah.
Because he said it wasn't fair to America. I read through the Paris Climate Agreement, and I'm not sure what he thought wasn't fair.
Right.
Seems like it was pretty fair across the board to me, but I digress. Again, you can go and read it for yourself.
Global warming is real. Global warming is real. Scientists said so.
If you want any indication of whether it's real or not, go to the Mississippi River. and see how much it's risen.
Right.
Ask Louisiana how they're doing right now.
How about you check the last time we had a real winter? Anyway.
Or a mild summer.
Or a mild summer. Joe Biden. He says that he wants to ensure that the U.S. achieves 100% clean energy economy and net zero emissions no later than 2050. Now, that's interesting. Now, I want to say this in regards to clean energy. Now, I've done my fair share of reading this because it's a very interesting topic for me, especially alternative energy sources. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there are a lot of companies out there that are utilizing and even trying to attempt to become 100% green
At a cost.
At a cost.
Alabama Power.
And one of the things, yeah, and one of the energy sources that everybody's hyped up over is hydrogen. Hydrogen is one of those energy sources that is I guess is one of the sources that can do the most, but it's based off research from what I've read, is the most misunderstood. The answer that keeps being hopped over when it comes to hydrogen is does hydrogen release emissions? You have one half of the scientific community saying that there is no emissions release, and then you have those on the other side of the scientific community saying that there are some emissions, and we do not know how harmful it will be to the environment.
Hydrogen, though?
Exactly.
I'm not.
Exactly.
I don't proclaim to be a scientist,
Neither am I.
Or to be like well versed in chemistry. The last time I checked, hydrogen was one part of water, which we drink and we need to survive. I'm not real sure how hydrogen could be harmful. But again, I do not claim to understand completely chemistry. I did not do well in chemistry.
Well, we're also talking about the hydrogen that was actually converted into a bomb as well.
Yeah, I mean,
so there's a lot of different factors.
I mean, there's different factors. I mean, I guess it depends on what the process of the hydrogen, how you're processing the hydrogen.
Right. Right. And we have different components within our atmosphere anyway.
Because, I mean, you can make a bomb with it, or you can put it with oxygen and make water.
Correct. So it depends. And you got to realize now, they're talking about actually fueling vehicles with this. They're talking about actually supplying and fueling like these industrial industries with this stuff. So I'm pretty sure, just like anything else, that they're putting a little bit of something that probably shouldn't be with something.
Yeah.
So that it can expand a little bit more.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like a pure clean. It's not, because that's not how corporations operate. If they can do it the cheapest way to get the most return, that's the way they're going to do it.
Over the past decade or so, we have slowly but surely walked away from quality and embraced efficiency. And efficiency,
not just over the last decade, probably over the last century. Right.
Yeah. I'm just minimizing it, but I'm just saying, like, the efficiency has been in every other conversation when it comes to, manufacturing, et cetera, because that's the thing. Even in the industry, even in the film industry, now you having people making films in 2 days now. It's crazy. We just did that.
I mean, we did.
No, but all seriousness though, it's a quality film. But the thing is, it's just that sometimes efficiency is not always the answer. I don't believe in surrendering quality for efficiency.
I mean, especially when it comes to the health and safety.
Especially when it comes to of the people, of the populace. You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. So it's interesting to see. And another quick. I'm going to end this real quick, but wind power is a big one, and water or whatnot.
Wind power does not cause cancer.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Can we just stop?
Yeah. Well, we're not going to stop, because if we stop, what the fun would that be? I'm gonna get a headache, but you know how that goes. But we also have wind and wind power and water power to also.
Coal emissions is far more proven to be far more harmful
than anything else. So it's interesting to see how that's going to happen by 2050. That would be dope if that can happen, because that will save our environment and our, our ecosystem as a whole.
We'll see.
More ways than one. He wants to create a new class of well-paying jobs and job training around climate resilience. Industries, sorry. And that is something that we need, because just like we needed that pandemic reaction team that was disbanded, we needed a climate resilient team that will basically our environmental scientists out there that have been screaming for the past 50 years that we're killing ourselves, we're destroying the earth, and now everybody want to wake up and be like, oh yeah, we're killing the earth, destroying the earth. Or the environmental side is saying we're going to run out of food within the next 50 to 100 years, and now you're going, oh, by the way, we're going to use diseased birds to
I just read that. The USDA has approved the use of diseased chickens for consumption.
Hey, this is nothing new. Beef, they've been using cancer-infected beef for forever. What they do is they pop it and they drain it of the infectious fluid. And then once they've drained it of that, they cut, slice, and all the other crap, and rinse, wash, and repeat.
It really makes you. I might pull a Tabitha Brown and just be vegan, cause I'm shout out to Tabitha Brown, love you.
Hey,
cause
let me tell you something. Come here, let me tell you something. That's what you do.
like that. But yeah, ooh, gross.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So as far as the well-paying jobs, so I feel like that if we stop using coal, then those coal miners could be trained or retrained to do these specific jobs, and so they don't have to worry about losing jobs. We talk about it a little bit later on. Yeah, this could possibly provide a alternative for those that feel like they might lose their jobs or their pension or their health care. Just usher everything into a new era, because we shouldn't be still using the same stuff that we used to provide energy that we used post-Civil War. Right. It's 2020. We need to come into the new millennium.
Yeah.
Where as far as energy.
Well, we need to wake the heck up in regards to that, because I'm telling you, fossil fuels just about gone. We
were supposed to already be in flying cars. I don't know what y'all doing. Because I remember, and we were supposed to all be driving electric cars by now. Because I remember in 3rd grade, they're like, electric cars. I was like, oh, that's going to be so cool. Where's my electric car? Well, they have them, but they're super expensive.
Yeah. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
I did it first.
Dang it. Anyway. Anyway, they want to re-enter into the Paris Agreement on day one of the Biden administration and lead a major diplomatic push to raise the ambitions of countries' climate targets.
So not only do they want to get back into the Paris Agreement, which I think is an excellent idea. I think we only left because Trump was mad that they weren't nicer to him, which seems to be a pattern. Calling it out.
Guy, you're not a likable person. That's your fault. That's nothing to do with anyone else but you.
I think the name of the game is diplomacy, right?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you
diplomacy.
said that.
And if you don't know how to be diplomatic, then
you're in the wrong profession, my man. This is not how you handle. This is not Shark Tank. You don't just.
This isn't The Apprentice.
Right.
You can't run the country like you ran your reality TV show
or your businesses.
Your businesses. You can't vote people off the island because you don't like them. You have to be president for all people, even the ones you don't like.
And I'm gonna say this. This is a quick digression. A lot of people especially black folk, gave President Obama strikes saying he didn't do nothing for the black people. Listen, man, he was the president of the United States of America. He's
not the president for just black people.
And listen, you have to understand that as a leader, you do not isolate or segregate your people. You want unity. So to create unity, you have to reach out to all people. And I think he did an amazing job in doing that. I know former President Obama is not running, but what I'm talking about is his leadership style, his ability to be diplomatic. It is crazy when you have another country, when you're about to leave your seat of the presidency, screaming for more years. A whole nother country, y'all.
Which country was that?
That was it was either Paris or it was either Canada, one of the two.
Canada or France?
Oh, France, yeah. One of them was saying 4 more years. They were up there. He was up there sitting with them, talking with them in their little chambers or whatever.
Obama's a likable person.
Yes, he's very. I mean,
without him being president, he's just a likable person.
I said Paris, didn't I? You said France. Thank you for covering me on that. I said Paris. That's a daggum.
But anyways, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a likable person. And Trump, like before he became president, and like when he was just like a not a regular person, just a regular
He was idolized.
He was idolized, especially in our community.
Yeah,
because I was like,
I never understood.
I thought he was funny, but I was like, I don't think he should be president. In the same way, I think Kanye is musically talented, but he don't need to be running nobody's country.
Well, all I know is we're gonna be the house party is gonna be running the White House if you win that
birthday party.
Oh, it's the birthday. So anyway, I'm not moving forward. This mother. So it says he said he wants to stand up to the abuse of power of polluters who disproportionately harm communities of color and low-income communities. Let me finish it. And establish a task force on coal and power plant communities. Now, here's the thing. There's that situation about the basically the polluters and low income and communities of color. So there's a white gentleman that lives near my parents, but the majority of the community is it's mixed black and white, but mostly black, right? There is a place right down the hill going to my parents' home, and it is filled with trash because people literally, I've seen them. They drive down to the bottom of the hill in trucks and they just dump right out to the side. And it's crazy that happens. Now they have a task force here in Alabama, in Birmingham, right? That combats this, and you're gonna get a hefty fine if they catch you. But it's like, it's still not stopping it from happening.
Now, I live on the other side of town where, majority white. And there's not a whole lot of pollution. There's a little bit of trash and everything, but it's generally clean. What I find is a lot of people that live on my side of town come to this side of town to do their dumping. Because they're too lazy to go to the landfill and pay the $6, which is not a whole lot, to actually go and dump their stuff properly.
Right. It's very frustrating, the fact that you said that, because that just proved my point. And it's just crazy how you see these individuals that just come, that just they openly go from one side of town to the next instead of going to the dump. What I need to happen is these task force that I know they're operating. They need to either hire more people to do to do the search and find, or whatever they're supposed to be doing, and hand out more of these doggone fines. The fine is hefty. It's like a $3,000 to $5,000 fine if you get hemmed up or you get caught doing this. But it's just, it's still not a deterrent to keep people from dumping.
And see, and then environmental racism isn't just, relegated to dumping and trash and things. It's like the fact that noise pollution is one of the things. When I've talked about the documentary I did a couple of years ago about Fountain Heights. Like, not only are they blocked in, but like the noise pollution from the build of the highway is a concern, because how do you sleep when you can hear, cars going back and forth on the interstate? And also just in general, you see most of these factories that are being built, they aren't being built in the suburbs. They're being built in the rural areas, which there's a lot of rural areas. For example, Wilcox County is a rural area, and there's a lot of factories built in these rural areas, these rural poor areas, and not just the black people are poor, the white people are poor too. These land is brought up and are seized from banks, and they're sold to these big corporations. These big corporations then build factories and other things there. Coal mining happens in rural areas. It doesn't happen in suburban areas. It happens in the poorest places.
And this coal mining, I mean, they need to come down. You know, if anything, that I'm okay with them doing. And my coal miners, look, I understand y'all been doing this forever, but I personally feel that it's a death wish.
I mean,
coal mining is a death wish.
I know that it provides, it provides for you, but we're in a new day and age where you can get jobs where you don't have to put your life and health at risk.
I mean, if anything, if you don't die down there, like in regards to like something happening, you get trapped.
And breathing in that coal will kill you.
And I have a cousin. My cousin worked in the coal mines, and he's had health issues from working in the coal mines. And like it's a lot of money now.
It's a lot of money, but at what cost?
At what cost?
I mean, you're making the money, but.
Yeah.
Are you spending the money in health care?
Right. Your life is way more important.
It's worth more than you having to do that type of work.
Right. And it's suffering when
there's other better, safer, more equitable across the board options.
Right. Exactly. I agree. Because, I mean, if anything, that like I was saying before I switched real quick, the robots would be I'm perfectly fine with them being miners. Because a robot can be, replaced, but human, man, I mean,
human life is
valuable.
Far too precious. Yeah, and like you people that are pro-choice or pro-life, I mean, this is a life.
Situation. This is a pro-life situation.
These are people's lives, that are at stake.
Right.
Fully grown human life.
Now I know you may not like what we're saying, and this is our opinion because you have the right to do whatever you want to do, and we coal mine. That's fine. Do your thing.
I mean, but it's your choice.
It's just the long-term effects, man. It's just
I would want better for myself.
Right, and I hate the fact that because you will suffer. There's nothing. Most people that have worked in coal mines, they end up having a hard life from the physical ailments that they gain from working in them places like that. So yeah, I'm not keen to it.
Well, and so hopefully this task force that Joe Biden is coming up with will work with these coal miners and people that work in power plants and these, health damaging, dangerous type jobs and, support that community and make sure that they're taken care of the way they need to be taken care of because they do provide a service to us and they do something that a lot of us don't want to do. And so they deserve to get the respect and the payments and all the things that they're due.
Right, because they are undervalued, and it's very, like you said, it's very important what they do because they are the tide that can change the ecosystem and environment improving. You know what I mean? Right.
So that was kind of our spiel, our fact-finding journey in this election. We tried to be fair and pull exactly what we found from each website. I know I'm saying this multiple times, but I want to be clear that we're not just making things up. We're pulling from what we saw.
Right. And it's been a lot to see this over the past 4 years and really this year alone in regards to President Trump. And like I say, if former Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris, if they become the President and Vice President, they have a lot of work to do. And we're both wishing them luck and hoping that they actually follow through with what they say they're going to do. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And that's to say, like, if they are indeed elected, not only just follow through, but accountability. The two of them, they're quite the pair. And a lot of the things that they've done in their careers have directly affected the black community.
Right.
So I hope that if they get in,
they can.
And I've had private family arguments about this. About this, and people tell me I'm wrong for the way I feel. They weren't the candidates that I wanted.
Yeah.
But they're what we got.
Right.
So.
But they're, I mean, regardless of that, they're very qualified, and like I said, I know how you feel about it, and I'm with you.
Qualified is such a weird terminology because you know, Donald Trump was not a politician, and he's running on I'm not a politician, and I'm different than the politician, and he is different than most politicians. I'll give him that.
Well,
and the fact that he is not as knowledgeable about how the system works as a politician might be.
And that just shows you that we need politicians in political situations,
or at least somebody who is well versed,
or with a moral compass.
Because
just saying.
AOC was not a politician. In fact, I think she went to school for biology, and when she got elected, she was working at a coffee shop. But she is well versed in policy and law, which I think bodes well for her. That's why she's able to give clear and concise information when it comes to certain things. But in the end, everybody just needs to vote.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're shutting this down at, because the main thing is voting. We want you guys to really embrace your right to vote. I mean, it's your right. This, regardless of who you stand by, regardless of who you support, whether you agree with us or not, you know, and honestly, whether you agree with us or not is kind of irrelevant in regards to this. We're giving you what was given to us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we sprinkled it with our own opinion, but at the end of the day, the information that we have is the information
it's available to
everybody. So take it and read. But in regards to voting, I want you guys to know that you can go to www.voting.org.
Vote.org. Vote.org.
Did I not say that?
You said voting. It's vote.org.
I'm gonna remind this back, and if I said voting, I apologize. But I thought I said www.vote.org. But if I said voting, okay, my bad.
It's www.vote.org.
Okay.
That's one of the websites I went to. There's a lot of information about voting and specific information about voting in your state, how it works, what to do with absentee ballots, which I think the time has passed to request one. I think the time to turn one in, it has also passed.
Right.
So if you do have an absentee ballot, you can drop it in person.
Right.
And then there's information on how to vote in person and how to do that safely amidst the pandemic.
If you have any questions about any of this, of any processes, procedures, go to www.rockthevote.org and /how to vote, and that gives you step by step, boom, 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 what you need to do, how you need to do it, when you need to do it in regards to voting. Remember, vote time is what? November 3rd. November 3rd. So go out there and vote, guys. It's important. It's imperative. I do not believe the hype about your vote don't matter. Your vote matters. And honestly, even if it quote unquote didn't matter, it's still your right. Utilize your rights. Don't fuss, cuss, and fight about rights if you're not using them. All right. So let's go out there and vote. So before we head out, we both want to thank you for tuning in. All right, we really appreciate it. It's been a while since we did this, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, we're a little rusty.
But we get back in the groove.
Fray.
But before we head out, we only got a few more minutes, so let's talk about 6:30, man.
Okay, so 6:30 is a concept that I came up with about 3 years ago. I don't want to give too much away because I want you guys to watch it.
Right.
We just wrapped shooting last week,
right, and
we are in the editing process, and we hope to have the film out by December
18th.
18th.
That's the hope. That's the hope for a date. December 18th is gonna be hopefully our release date.
Our release date. We have some wonderful actors. So it's featuring a wonderful actress. Her name is Erica Bonds. Hi, Erica. She did this as a favor to me, and I am eternally grateful.
She was amazing.
And it's also featuring Mr. Nightshade and his acting debut. Not debut, because there's another thing out. Talk about that real quick. Fast.
Okay, the SCP universe, SCP-D. It's a film by my man Ryan Murphy. It's a film that I'm in. You can check it out on Morbid Memories. We'll put all that information down, but I'm actually acting in that as well. I think I debut episode 2 coming up October 30th.
So we've got some acts.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And so it's really exciting. It's our first joint project since we've left college.
Yeah.
And it's kind of our baby.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so a lot went into this, so we would really love for you to watch it when it comes out. Look out for some behind-the-scenes footage that our good friend Ryan put together for us.
He is awesome. Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, and some behind-the-scenes photos from another good friend of ours,
Miss Alex. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you. And we just want to give a brief shout-out to our crew.
Matthew Brooks.
Yes.
Ben Johnson.
Yes.
Miss Ann Morris. Is that last name Hackney?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, Miss Ann Morris Hackney. Miss Trey Joyner. Miss
did craft services and is amazing. Shout out to Trey. If you need some food, call Trey.
Miss Kyra Joyner. Thank you so much for allowing us to use your apartment. Who am I missing? Did I miss anybody?
No,
Ryan.
Told you.
Ryan
also helped with the film.
So thank you guys. We love you guys. We
like I said, small crew,
but we made it happen. We got more projects. We got more projects coming. Real quick, remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and comment. Signing off, your boy Nightshade. Good night, though.
Donna Summer.